Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Grab your rods, spears, and fillet knives. We're going after the uninvited guests of America's waterways. Some of the tastiest fish in America aren't supposed to be here at all. These fish and crustaceans might be invasive, but they're also delicious if you know how to catch and cook them. Today we're turning a conservation problem into a culinary opportunity with tips, recipes, and maybe a few new favorites for your dinner table. Bait the hook, heat up the skillet, and let's get started.
Join Justin Townsend and the Harvesting Nature crew as they explore the world of cooking wild fish and game while sharing recipes, tips, tricks, and lessons learned from their pursuit of wild food. We sure hope you ate before the show, 'cause you're gonna leave hungry. This is the Wild Fish and Game Podcast.
Welcome back to the Wild Fish and Game Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Townsend, and I'm joined by Adam Berkelmans.
Hello, guys.
As you probably picked up from the intro, today we're digging into some of America's worst water-dwelling invasive species, including carp, lionfish, catfish, snakeheads, crabs, and crawfish. We'll be discussing how these transplants got here, how to get them into your freezer, and of course, the best way to get them on your plate. Let's start with carp. Adam, take it away.
Sure, thanks, Justin. There are several species of carp considered invasive in the United States and Canada, but the most notorious group is probably the Asian carp family, which includes silver carp, bighead carp, black carp, and grass carp. Common carp, which are like the big kind of brown goldfish-looking guys, they were introduced in the 1800s from Europe. Also considered invasive, but they're really well established in nearly every state, kind of almost seen as naturalized nowadays. There's also Crucian and Prussian carp, have very limited ranges in terms of invasive status, but they are still growing. All of these carp species disrupt native aquatic systems by competing with native fish for food, degrading water quality by rooting up everything in the bottom, uprooting the vegetation on the bottoms of lakes and water systems, and completely altering habitats. All of this leads to reduced biodiversity, imbalances in the ecosystems where they live, pushing out native fish populations, et cetera, as all these invasives tend to seem to do. Silver carp in particular have become the most famous for their water jumping antics and their explosion growth, and they're literally the most probably problematic of the carp species in terms of invasive status. And you've probably seen videos of these guys just like leaping out of the water really high into boats and like slapping boaters or people trying to catch them with nets or tennis rackets or whatever. So pretty crazy fish. They're first brought to the United States in the 70s for use in aquaculture ponds. So they're kind of brought into as a food source and also to put into wastewater treatment facilities as like a filter feeding thing, and they would control algae that way. But flooding events allowed them to escape in the Mississippi River Basin, and since then they've just spread through the whole Mississippi watershed and its tributaries all the way into the Great Lakes. Very problematic. So problematic, actually, that the current invasive status is at severe level. They're dominating waterways. They're outcompeting native fish like paddlefish, gizzard shad. there's a lot of wildlife agencies and environmental agencies that are trying to invest heavily into containment and removal strategies, particularly to prevent them from really overtaking the Great Lakes, because they could cause massive damage there. So I think they're trying to keep them out. Yes, that's kind of the status of these carp species in North America right now. It's pretty problematic. We actually had a biologist for the Department of Fish and Wildlife in Kentucky named Matthew Dollenbacher on the podcast. Was that last year, Justin, or 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was a year or two ago.
Discussing silver carp issues in Kentucky. All the problems that went along with that.
I think Kentucky's got kind of a cool approach to it, like definitely looking at it as a food source and trying to encourage people to get out and eat it. And that was sort of part of Matt's role was, hey, like, let's eat these fish as much as we can. And I know there's a lot of stigma around it, and a lot of people will complain, oh, it's bony, oh, I'm not going to eat it, it tastes bad, all that. But we learned different on that podcast, and you've got some notes on some flavor profiles, I think, that we learned. And have you eaten carp before?
I've eaten common carp before, but never any of these other species.
I'm trying to think. I too have had carp before. I can't recall which one it was, but still pretty tasty either way.
Yeah, I liked it. Eastern Europeans really have a lot to do with carp, a lot of traditions and recipes and everything. And I've actually got smoked carp from there's this huge Eastern European deli in Toronto called Starsky's, and it's just like a wonder world of kielbasa and sauerkraut and whatever else you want to find out there. Mm-hmm. But they sold smoked carp, which is delicious. And I remember working as at a conservation area years ago, and all these Eastern European guys would always be fishing for carp on the shore. And I wandered over one day and asked them, what is the deal? Are they actually good? Because I've heard my whole life they taste like crap. And I remember the guy saying, you just put some carp in the foil, some butter, and a little bit of whiskey, and it's so fucking good, he said. So, and they waved me back over later on, and I tried some, and it was good, like he said. So I'm definitely open to trying all the carp species for sure.
Yeah, they've all definitely going to be similar in flavor profile too. I doubt there's much variation.
Yeah, I imagine. Most people say the flavor profile is kind of mild, slightly sweet, kind of a clean flavor similar to cod or tilapia, maybe. Firm white flesh, flakes pretty finely after it's cooked. It's got a very low oil content, making it less fishy, in quotes, as other oilier fishy fish. It tends to pair well with more delicate herbs, something that you don't need to overpower it, I don't think. To cook them and prepare them for cooking, you want to gut and scale them and then rinse them thoroughly. Flake carefully, removing the Y bones. So kind of like pike and some other species of fish, these carp have Y bones and a lot of fine bones in the flesh. So you look online to see how you can properly fillet them or cook the carp whole and remove the bones afterwards. It's up to you. Cutting into smaller portions could make the bone removal a little easier for you if you're new to it. Cooking wise, they're best steamed, baked, fried, grilled, fish cakes, patties, just kind of whatever you want to do with white fish. They just you can slip it into any of your favorite white fish recipes. You want to marinate quite lightly because it's a pretty mild flavor. You'd probably expect these carp to have a huge, massive, kind of dirty flavor, but they really don't. You can deep fry, and that helps soften and make those bones less noticeable. Pickling also does that. Y bones will just kind of disintegrate when you pickle the fish. We have pickled pike recipes, I think, on Harvesting Nature and on Intrepid Eater, so you could use those recipes for carp. And honestly, poaching in broth is one of the best ways to cook this stuff because it just keeps the flesh really moist, and it's kind of a delicate, nice way to cook it. You'll find across the USA, usually fried carp nuggets, carp tacos, sometimes carp, salads and different things like that.
Dip. Carp
Dips
dip,
and,
smoked fish dip with
smoked
carp.
Fish dip, which is all good. If you're looking in the east where they're all coming from, China, Vietnam, those places, Thailand, you're looking at sweet and sour flavors. They often will braise the carp in soy sauce. They'll include in spicy hot pot, cooking it in clay pot. making sourfish soups, all that kind of stuff. So there's some really interesting Asian recipes too, if you want to look it up. And Matthew Dollenbacher, who I was talking about earlier, who joined us on the podcast last year, actually provided us generously with 2 recipes, one for a smoked carp dip and one for a silver carp salad, which are up on the Harvesting Nature website. So if you want to check those out, definitely go and do that. And they bring these recipes to places to help show people that this fish is edible and should be eaten. And he said they've turned a lot of people over to eating carp after trying that. So go check that out.
I would say it's really cool. There's been a lot of conversation too about what a commercial market looks like for carp, and sort of we talked about the rebranding of it as well as like, was it Kopi? I think is what. I forget which state's trying to do it, but their revitalization efforts, sort of like the Patagonia toothfish. Mm-hmm. Which you may know is the Chilean sea bass, more properly.
It's a great idea because people will just hear carp and immediately shut down the conversation. Like, carp is gross. Oh, have you ever tried it? No, but my grandfather said it was gross. Did he ever try it? No. That's generally how that conversation goes. So just renaming it is actually a great tool, I think, just to get people's, like, out of their heads about it and just approaching it as, like, a decent fish meat, just like any other.
When I think, too, not all carp are bad, because we've got the buffalo carp, I think, which is a native North American carp that exists here. So just be careful and know your species. Of course, you can harvest one, but I think the buffalo carp, they get pretty old.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know much about buffalo carp. It's an interesting fish. The good thing about a lot of these invasive species is that they have no or very little like catch limits and stuff like that, so you can really hit them hard in certain places, but you do want to check out your local regulations and what's available locally so you're not catching the wrong fish.
Yeah, so while common carp have a lifespan of about 17 to 20 years, some bigmouth buffalo, a different species, can live for over a century.
Holy. I'd feel bad about eating a 100-year-old creature, I think.
Yeah.
Tough one for me.
Yeah, they are definitely native to, they're the largest of the sucker family and found in various freshwater systems across the continent.
Oh, interesting.
While sometimes called buffalo carp, they are not closely related to the carp family. So, my bad. They're called bigmouth buffalo.
Okay.
But they're not a true carp. Oh, interesting. But they look very similar, slightly different. They've got the kind of big scales in the head. Their eyes are at the top of their head. They got a different shaped dorsal fin, and their scales are straight along the midline.
The midline?
Slightly same but different. Just be careful. They're cool fish.
Next up is a fish you probably won't mistake for any other fish. I'd imagine you're going to go further south for that. You want to take over? Do you want to take on lionfish, Justin?
Yeah. So lionfish are native to the Indo-Pacific, but they became established in the U.S. Through a combination of aquarium releases and accidental escapes. So escapees for sure. First confirmed sighting of Florida occurred along the coast in the mid-1980s, and it's believed that aquarium hobbyists released them into the wild. While some evidence also suggests that Hurricane Andrew in 1992 may have damaged coastal aquariums, releasing lionfish to the Atlantic. With no significant natural predators and a high reproductive capacity, females can release up to 2 million eggs per year. So, as a result, lionfish populations quickly exploded. Today, lionfish are considered one of the most destructive marine invaders in the western Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, and Caribbean Sea. They thrive in a wide range of habitats, from shallow reefs to deep offshore waters, and their voracious appetites allow them to consume over 70 species of fish and invertebrates, many of which are important to reef health and local fisheries. They have no natural predators in those environments, so they just kind of thrive and live wherever. And it's crazy to see because they just they don't care. Whenever I've speared for them before, and they just kind of hover there. They'll kind of move away a little bit, but you can definitely tell they are not threatened by the presence of anything really. And so as a result, their population density in some of these areas can exceed that of their own native ranges by several times, leading to severe declines in the native reef fish populations. So while eradication is unlikely, targeted spearfishing, organized lionfish derbies, and growing market for lionfish as a food have become important tools in controlling their spread and mitigating ecological damage. So I can attest to all those, having speared for them before. They're definitely not, if you can find them, they're not hard to get. There's a lot of people will scuba dive for them versus free dive, which is what I was doing, and they've got these little shorter like pole spears. They'll just tag them, and then you stick them in this, like, it's like a PVC tube, and one end is capped and the other end has like this little flap that goes
like a one-way
up and down.
flap.
Yeah, and it's they call it like a lionfish hotel, and so they'll carry that on them, and they'll just like bloom, 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 and just like quickly pop them in there.
Is that just so you don't get like spined by them while you're on, if they were just dangling off your belt or something?
Yep. So they're not poisonous, they're venomous. And so they have a total of 18 venomous spines. They've got 13 along the dorsal fin, 3 along the anal fin, and 1 on each pelvic fin. And so once you clip those off, the fish is just a fish, and you
so it's
can
not like a
cook
puffer
it.
fish that's gonna poison you if you cook it wrong or something.
No, it's not. And too, like, once you get stung by them, I've got a friend that got stung several times, and the type of venom that it is actually, it's protein based and like denatures with heat. So he's like, yeah, if you get stung, you just take and run your hand under the discharge water on your boat engine, and that will like help like disintegrate the poison, so adding warmth to it. So I don't know, you might be able to pee on it, but I don't know.
I guess your pee's warm enough. You can.
Yeah. So it's a cool thing to see, and I think the University of Florida, they had a lionfish like fishing, so they're really hard to fish for because they kind of go down and hang at the bottom. They're not really attracted to things.
So they're unlikely to bite a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I know University of Florida, there's a specific picture of this cool device they created. Oh, here it is. The fish fence. It's like that plastic lattice you see at a
Like garden center kind of.
garden center home improvement store. And they put it down there, and it's just the traditional like pattern with the square diamond weave. And you normally see them like on your front porch.
Yeah.
But this is a blog over on it's Cool Green Science Stories of Nature Conservancy. So they basically drop this fence down there with a net below it, and they wait till all the lionfish like come hang out around it, and then they pull up the net really tall. And in the picture, they've got probably, I don't know, a dozen or so lionfish. Yeah, it's interesting.
How big are they approximately? Like, are you looking at the size of like a in relation to like a perch or like a largemouth bass or?
They can range in size, so their typical range is like 12 to 18 inches, but I've seen some that are like, on up pretty big.
Oh,
but I've seen them really small, and I've seen them like really, good size too. And they're really like, the bigger they get, the more like daunting they are, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, they're cool looking fish.
And they become solitary in places, and in other places there's just like a ton of them around. So it really just kind of varies. I've seen them mixed, but definitely a cool fish, and they taste phenomenal. I think I've cooked them several different times. I think my first ever backcountry hunters and anglers rendezvous back in 2021, I took up a load of lionfish that we caught and cooked it. I made just like jerk lionfish with a coconut rice and then a homemade mango chutney, and it was phenomenal. The flavor profile of lionfish overall is like, it's very mild, it's sweet, it's very buttery. I would definitely compare it to a lighter snapper or a less dense grouper, so a little more flaky. It holds together well during cooking. It's got a low oil content, so it's pretty versatile for different types of preparations, and it's got no strong sort of quote-unquote fishy taste, so a lot of different folks will like it. And then You have to do some care and handling whenever you're preparing it for cooking. So you want to make sure you're wearing gloves. And the easiest thing to do is honestly to use shears in the water to cut off the spines versus trying to do it stationary on land. But you can do it that way as well if you're pulling a bunch out of like the hotel. But it's pretty easy if you get in the water and you just kind of got the fish there. Just to trim the spines off. You want to scale and gut it. Just like normal, fillet it. You can remove the skin. If not, it's cool because the skin also has like the little lines from similar to the scale pattern. Cool. And then there's lots of cool ways to cook it. I just mentioned like a really neat one. So grilling, baking, sauteing, frying. Ceviche would be good as well. I've had it cooked in sushi. So they made it like tempura style and then put it inside a sushi roll. There's a great place down in the Florida Keys and Marathon that does it, and then they take the like skeleton and they fry it and then they put it on top of the
that's fun.
of the sushi roll. It's pretty neat. It's definitely going to go with like some light seasoning. It's got a natural sweetness to it, so citrus and herbs will pair really well. Let's see some popular lionfish dishes: pan-seared with citrus beurre blanc, lionfish tacos, and lionfish ceviche. So a fun fact is if you go over to the Harvesting Nature website, we've got a lionfish and chips t-shirt that we have available, and that one's a pretty cool one.
It's great. I just got it, wore it on the weekend. I had a bunch of people over, and it was a big hit, that shirt. Everyone really liked it. It's just like a lionfish kind of perched on top of but like fries, like fish and chip style. It's probably one of my favorites so far. I really like that shirt. Yeah, it's a good one. And we have we're going to talk about catfish up next, but we have a catfish po' boy that we're going to probably release this week. That one will be a cool one as well to add to the collection, because it's just like a po' boy bread and dressed and all the stuff with the catfish wrapped inside of it. So you'll love it.
We've got a recipe on the website, Swiss chard wrapped grouper that Arzada wrote, and that you could replace the grouper for lionfish. And actually, like there's another one. We've got a lemon pepper, I think yellowtail snapper with mustard greens on the website as well. That could be replaced. You could also, we didn't put it on here, you could also cook those whole as well. You could roast the fish whole, would be really good, or grill them and then just put a bunch of fun sauces on the top of it and then kind of pick it off the bone. That would be fun as well.
We have a lot of whole snapper recipes available on the website too, which would fit with any of those. So.
Yeah, that would work really well.
Midway USA offers a wide selection of high-quality magazines from top manufacturers catering to various firearm platforms and specific disciplines of shooting. 223 is a staple, and 6mm ARC mags are just a few clicks away. If you own a clock, just bought a 6-hour, or want to shoot your 1911 a little more, you can visit MidwayUSA.com to get another magazine. Plinkers with a Ruger 1022 can have nearly as much fun shopping for a drum magazine as they can shooting it at the range. For just about everything for shooting, shop MidwayUSA.com.
Join us at a Friends of NRA event where freedom, fun, and firearms come together like nowhere else. With more than 600 events held across the country, there's always one happening near you. From exciting games to exclusive auctions featuring one-of-a-kind firearms and gear you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're a lifelong hunter, a competitive shooter, or simply passionate about defending freedom, there is a seat for you. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you and get ready for a night you won't forget.
All right, Adam, do you want to talk about blue catfish?
Sure. So, talking about catfish, blues are, because there's a lot of different types of catfish. Blue catfish, in particular, are native to the Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio river basins. So they have a pretty large range in the United States, but they've been moving outside of their traditional range and becoming problematic in other water systems. And that started happening around the 1970s.
Man, it's like a lot going on in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, people were just very irresponsible. It seems. So fishery managers in Virginia and a couple other states around them stocked these catfish in tidal rivers. The jams, is it the Rappahannock? Is that how you say that? Yeah. And York rivers. And they did so to establish new recreational fisheries, which, hunters and anglers are sometimes partially responsible for some of these things happening. Unfortunately, blue catfish are highly adaptable. They tolerate a wide range of salinities. So these kind of briny rivers, doesn't really matter what the salinity level is, it's not going to keep them away. And most fish are very sensitive to that. So these fish have few natural predators, especially in these new environments, and that allows their populations to expand rapidly. So today, blue catfish are considered invasive in many parts of the Chesapeake Bay area, the whole watershed there, a lot of the other connected river systems to that. They feed opportunistically, which means they're eating fish, crustaceans, small mammals and birds, pretty much anything, especially if they're getting quite large. Some areas, they make up a significant portion of the total fish population, so they're really taking over. Part of that predation is on like native species, commercially important fish, think like shad or river herring, blue crabs, which has a big market. That's when it really starts raising ecological concerns, is when the finance starts falling through the cracks there, I think. So once it becomes a financial concern, people work extra hard to help out. So management efforts are usually, focusing on control through like commercial harvests, trying to encourage public consumption, targeted removal programs, but it's pretty unlikely that completely eradicating them is going to happen, just because they're so widely distributed and they have such a high reproductive success rate. But reducing populations does help and needs to happen so they don't keep overtaking all this. You went catfishing just in DC there recently, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. We went out. Oh my gosh, my brain's a little foggy right now.
Yeah.
It's early morning.
We keep waking Justin up at 5 a.m. to do these podcasts because of our time change, but it's yeah.
Yeah, we went out on the Potomac fishing there, and no, it was pretty cool because we were not far from like just being in town, and we were targeting blue catfish, particularly just known for their like invasive nature and all that, and it was cool just to get out to fish for them and all that, and like really large fish, super cool. So I think that's one of the things, or the focus of the region. We'll talk about snakeheads next a bit as well, but like blue catfish and snakeheads, like the Chesapeake region, both Virginia and Maryland. I should probably say, like, I don't know if they're up in Delaware or not, but just kind of writ large, the whole Chesapeake Bay system, the really focused on the conservation groups to try to tackle those and identify those species and get them removed in order to better protect the environment. But yeah, it was pretty cool catching them just right outside the town.
Yeah. What did you think? Did you cook any up that day? You're busy.
Yeah, we didn't cook any up that day. I think it was later on, but I made like a lemongrass catfish noodle bowl.
Oh,
so basically like a play on like a Vietnamese noodle bowl, but just with catfish and some delicious lemongrass like marinade and sauce, and came out really, really well. I was really happy with it.
I've yet to try them. I've heard that they have like a bit of a milder, sweeter flavor and a little firmer texture than other catfish, like channels that you might be catching, and that because they're in like larger rivers, flowing water, that they might be less muddy tasting.
Yep, that's true. Yeah. And I grew up, catfishing kind of all around, not catfishing in that sense, but like fishing for catfish. And yeah, people would always try to target blue cats over muds or channel cats, just to like better palatability. But oftentimes you would get what you got, and so you just kind of eat whatever. But definitely a good sought after fish. I think where I grew up in Oklahoma, that's part of their like natural ecosystem. Yeah. So it would be good there. But definitely if you're in the Chesapeake, go out and catch some. They're everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. If you do catch some and you're worried about the stronger taste that catfish sometimes have, you can make sure that you bleed the fish immediately after. You should go back and listen to our podcast with Andrew Sui. He was doing the ikejime, which is like how to properly kill a fish the Japanese way and how to properly bleed it and everything. And even if you don't do the entire ikejime process, it's beneficial to bleed these fish and get them on ice very quickly. They'll taste much better. Probably you want to remove the skin. You want to remove any dark red lateral line meat. That's a bit of a mouthful. Dark red lateral line meat, and that's going to reduce some of the strong flavors as well. Rinse it off, and if you find it still kind of muddy tasting, you can briefly soak it in like a saltwater brine or milk. and that will help out as well. And then from there, you can fry them, grill them, bake them, use blackening spice and serum, kind of Cajun style. You can poach them. Like they're easy. They kind of work with everything. Cajun seasonings also obviously work great. Due to they kind of have like a good firmness level, which makes them work in fish stews, chowders, tacos, and stuff like that, where you're worried about the fish all flaking apart. The U.S. obviously has a ton of awesome catfish recipes, including
I'm such a huge fan of catfish. Like I love it.
Yeah, like catfish, fried fish, and hush puppies, or the blackened, or the po' boys, like you mentioned before. Don't sleep on those po' boy shirts coming out. I think they're gonna be great. You can put in the etouffee or courgette, like so many things. And outside, there's catfish kind of all over the world, so you can look globally for like curry recipes, fish cakes. The Vietnamese have some really cool catfish recipes with where they use like a caramel sauce, and then you can also get into the dips, tacos, all that kind of stuff too. And Justin's lemongrass catfish noodle bowl recipe is available on the Harvesting Nature website, and it's striking, healthy, delicious, beautiful. Go make it. You'll enjoy it. So there's another fish we briefly mentioned that's kind of existing in the same watershed area, also causing problems. Do you want to get into the northern snakehead fish, Justin?
Yeah, so the northern snakehead. We talked a lot about this fish with Joe Smelly when we had him on the podcast, because he's a big snakehead fan. Yeah. So go back and listen to that episode. That was a really fun one. And it's native to parts of China, Russia, Korea, but it first appeared in the United States in the early 2000s. So 30 years after all the other bad stuff, we didn't learn our lessons. But the initial introduction is believed to have come from a live fish trade where snakehead were sold for food in Asian markets and as ornamental fish in aquariums. In some cases, they were intentionally released into local waterways, either to create a food source or as part of a culture of mercy releases. Snakeheads can breathe air and survive for a couple days out of water, making it easy for them to spread into other river systems.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's wild. Today, northern snakehead are firmly established in parts of the Potomac River, Chesapeake Bay tributaries, and scattered locations in other states. They're aggressive, highly adaptable predators capable of consuming fish, amphibians, and even small birds and mammals. Their ability to spawn multiple times a year and thrive in a variety of habitats makes them a serious ecological threat to native fish populations. Management now focuses on containment and encouraging anglers to harvest every snakehead caught. There is no catch and release requirement, and in many areas it's actually prohibited, making human consumption one of the primary tools for control. So I would say definitely eat them up. They can get big. They eat a lot of things. They're pretty wild.
Have you tried it before?
I've not tried it before. No, I've tried to go fish before. Actually, Adam Steele and I went out once, and what turned snake fishing expedition turned into a canoe trip because we could not locate any.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a really long, hot canoe trip instead. But it was still a really good time. We had fun. But yeah, they live kind of in these mossy, grassy tributaries off the Chesapeake Bay is where you can generally find them. And people have the most success for them. Actually, it's turned into bow fishing for them at night with spotlights because they sit kind of towards the top of the water. And so you can see them pretty easy. And bow fishing is a good way to go. And then other people will fish for them via kayak, because you can move the kayak kind of in and out of these little, like, small little bays and offshoots and creeks and stuff where they like to hang out. So yeah, there's like definitely some cool techniques to catching them and stuff like that, and all kinds of funness. But when we're talking about flavor, which is what we care about the most, because they're phenomenal fish, they're a firm white fish with a mild sweet flavor, similar to a combination of grouper and crab, I guess. Maybe a little less crabby, a little more grouper-y. They're lean. They're kind of flake resistant. They're a great choice for grilling or stir frying, and they have very little oil, but they're moist when cooked properly, so they won't dry out as much. One thing to note about them, similar to the others, you want to bleed them after you catch them. Fillet them carefully. They do have a bony rib section, but they generally produce a large amount of meat, and then they can get pretty big depending on the size. Remove the skin for a cleaner flavor, and then how to cook them. They're definitely suitable for grilling, baking, frying, steaming, and stir frying, kind of all the things. It's funny, I think fish writ large are just great pan-seared with like lemon and herbs, and or even like blackened. Yeah, like those two go-tos will get you well just about any kind of fish. But this one particularly, because it's a little firm and doesn't fall apart, is great for soups and stews, and it holds up well in curries.
Even if you slice it and cook it, like the slices will even hold their shape a little bit.
Yeah. So popular throughout the U.S., blackened snakehead tacos, grilled snakehead with garlic butter, fried snakehead nuggets. I think that's another go-to. If you want to talk some Asian influence meals, you could steam snakehead with ginger and scallions, sour snakehead soup, Thai snakehead curry, and then if you want to try like be a little creative, you could go with snakehead ceviche. We have a recipe on the website by one of our previous writers named John Peak, and he made snakehead ceviche. I will caution you when using freshwater fish for ceviche, make sure that you freeze it for it's usually a number of days in order to make sure you kill all the like creepy crawlies.
I put it in a deep freeze for at least 2 weeks, and I don't play around with the dates at all. Just leave like hard, long freeze. Yeah,
and that gets rid of just about any things. Like saltwater fish largely are lacking in parasites that can affect humans. But that can affect humans. But freshwater fish, not so much. So that's why you don't see a lot of freshwater fish on the sushi menus to eat. If you do, they're usually cooked, like the eel and stuff like that. So just be careful when you're making ceviche. But ceviche is a great option. It's a cool fish because it's a little firmer. It's not going to flake up like some of the others. So if you want to give it a try, freeze it and give it a go. But Adam, snakehead congee.
Yeah, snakehead congee. It's so I haven't caught one of these fish. A lot of these fish are outside my particular range. I have to go pretty far, though I'd be willing to. Definitely to try catching some of these guys. But I did find snakehead congee in my local Chinese grocery store. Or not congee, the snakehead itself. And it was basically in a package of just like thin slices, kind of like a big package of thin slices. So I picked it up because I was interested in, trying it out and getting the flavor profile. And I ended up making a congee with it, which is basically just like a Chinese rice porridge.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty simple one. I made it with like some ginger, pretty light on the flavors, a little sesame oil and stuff, and then just had like the ribbons of snakehead fillets in there, and it was so good. It was so tasty. The snakehead flavor shone through in a really nice way. It wasn't like an overly fishy kind of thing. Think of it kind of like a stew almost. And yeah, it was just like so fluffy and a nice texture and really, really tasty. So I'm definitely interested in, getting some snakehead from my freezer one day and, helping reduce some of their damage in the water by eating the hell out of them. So
gotta hit up Joe and go down.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool. I'd be definitely into that.
But another one kind of, I think, similar area, maybe a little further north, is the green crab.
I think these are actually coming from the opposite side of the country. Do they get green crabs in the Chesapeake as well?
Not the Chesapeake. I think they get them up further north.
Another big problem in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, let's see. I want to say both sides.
Yeah.
So both the Pacific Northwest and the Northeast.
Okay. I wonder if they're as much of a problem in the Northeast or if it's problematic everywhere.
I still think they're a bit of a problem, yeah. On the Atlantic coast, they've spread from New England as far as Newfoundland. And on the Pacific coast, they're found from California to British Columbia, with established populations in Washington, Oregon, and recently detected in Alaska.
Well, that's funny because most of my research took place kind of on the Pacific green crab, so I'm going to be leaving out apparently a section of information about Atlantic green crab, but we'd love to hear your thoughts about them if anyone has at the bottom of the post on Instagram, or send us an email about it. But in terms of the Pacific kind of green crabs, they showed up in North America around the 1800s, and thought they probably were hitching a ride in like ballast water of merchant ships from Europe. And it's considered one of the most invasive species in the marine environment of the Northwest. So it's very problematic. It's out there, and there's lots of them. It has very few predators. Aggressively hunts and eats its prey. It destroys seagrass. outcompetes local species for food and habitat. They devour juvenile king crab as well as juvenile salmon, which are huge fisheries. So once again, we're getting into an invasive species that causes financial devastation, and that often gets people moving a lot faster than if they're just something that no one cares about in the streams, other than the odd hunter or angler. They destroy eelgrass habitat. That's habitat that larval fish use to hide from predators. So the eelgrass disappears and then fish can't hide. They're all eaten up. So we're just getting more and more green crabs and less of everything else. They outcompete Dungeness crabs for food and habitat. So, it's a lot of commercially viable fish and crustacean species that's affecting. They think that green crab could potentially damage Alaska's multi-billion-dollar fishing industry, especially for salmon, crab, and even aquaculture operations. So they're affecting fish farms. So these are problematic. Luckily, they taste pretty good. The only problem is if you think of like a blue crab, I think they're even smaller than that. So you're not getting a ton of meat out these guys.
They're pretty tiny.
Pretty tiny. So although the crab tastes good, kind of like blue crab, there's less meat. They're a bit of a pain in the ass to do anything with. But that makes them excellent for making intensely flavored seafood stock. It's got a nice, delicate, sweet, nutty kind of flavor. Makes excellent seafood stock. So that's something you can just do for your base for chowders or all different stuff like that. So it's not useless by any means.
Do you remember when we did the tasting with Tamworth Distilling?
Yes.
On the podcast?
Oh, yeah, they had
Yeah, the green crab, the Crab Trapper green crab flavored whiskey.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. That was probably the coolest.
Really cool. That's we've telling you to listen to a lot of our past podcasts again episodes, but they're all kind of worthwhile. They all fit nicely with this one because that was really cool too. Tamworth Distilling just making what it was like venison whiskey, and
they had the
crab whiskey,
trout brandy,
yeah,
and then the crab, all kind of cool flavors. But the green crab was cool. It was like a low country boil kind of flavor profile as well. So it was neat. Very cool. They specifically targeted the green crabs for that reason.
Yeah. Good invasive. If you're catching your own green crabs or finding them from someone else, you're going to want to rinse them thoroughly in seawater or cold fresh water, and you do that to kind of remove any sand or grit or debris that might be in and around them. If you're going to use it for stock, which is probably the best way to use these guys, unless you want little niblets of crab, you can actually kind of lightly crush them, and that helps to release their flavor a little bit. If you want to go through the joy of picking crab meat, you want to steam or boil them briefly till they turn red. They're just done. You don't want to do it for 50 minutes of steaming or boiling. You get kind of tough dried out crab. Pick out the meat and make sure you discard the gills before eating. They can also be fried whole, so the really little ones, I don't know if you've ever seen those in the Asian store. They actually deep fry whole crabs, kind of toss them in some glazed flavoring, and then you can just eat them whole like that, which is pretty interesting. It's got a really super duper crunchy texture. It's a little different, but it's just making stock. You can use it for seafood risotto, you can use it for a paella, you can use it just for making normal rice, or like I said, chowder, soup, stews, boil outs, broths. It's just so many things. Pasta sauces. You can make turn the meat into crab cakes like any other crab, or like a bisque as well. I know in Italy they have a crab based pasta sauce called a sugo de granchio. So you can look up something like that. You can make ramen broth. You can make crab butter with a little bit of meat and a little broth in it. So there's just endless things. And we do have a basic European green crab stock recipe by Alana Kiefer on the Harvest Nature website. So look up that to get a sense of what to do, and then go from there. Because lots of cool options. It's good to get rid of these stupid little guys, and you can probably boil up 200 of them and make yourself broth for the season, and take a little bit out of the ocean.
Yeah, no. That sounds really good. I've always curious to try them. I've never dove down that way other than just the whiskey tasting.
Yeah,
but I'm curious now.
Yeah, I love crab so much. I'd be super into finding cool ways to use a big mess of them.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. I think the stock's a good go-to, but I'm definitely interested in how do you consume them. It's sort of in the bigger chunks.
Yeah,
picking through them, kind of like crawfish style. You're a lot of just slurping
and everything. Yeah.
Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find
You
it.
can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
But speaking of crawfish, let's close out talking about the rusty crawfish, or crayfish, where it depends on where you are and what you call it.
Yeah, we call them crayfish up here, but if we're talking about Louisiana, then we just say crawfish. I don't know where you're at. I guess you grew up crawfish in Oklahoma.
Yeah, crawfish, crawdaddies.
Crawdads, yeah.
Not much crayfish. Definitely not. So, but rusty crawfish are native. I guess I'll just call them crayfish. Rusty crayfish are native to the Ohio River Basin. So think about Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And the rusty crayfish has now been recorded in 20 other states, and so they've sort of migrated up and out, mostly to the north and east, and the highest concentration of invasive rusties are in Wisconsin, and it's suspected they were transported and released by anglers who are using them as bait. So
I think we have them where I live too, the rusties.
Yeah,
I'll double check on that, but yeah.
I was looking at a map here, and they've got pretty much like all over the Great Lakes. It only shows the U.S. because it's a USGS map, but it's definitely got around almost all the lakes except for Erie, and what's the one further east from Erie?
Ontario.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's a place.
Lake Ontario.
Yeah, there we go. That one. No, just joking. I knew that. But yeah, so over there, they directly compete with the native crawfish for food and cover, starving them and forcing them out where other animals can more easily prey on them. Rusties are also capable of hybridizing with native crawfish, which further depletes pure native genetics. We only want pure crawfish. We don't want those mixed crawfish. Yeah. That sounds wild to say. Rusty crawfish are opportunistic and feed on both plant and animal matter. Their tendency to eat massive amounts of vegetation when they enter a water system can wreak havoc on local ecosystems, clearing plant life such as to an extent that local game fish must move to new locations for lack of cover and food themselves.
It's crazy that they're actually like pushing out, these little crayfish are pushing out game fish populations.
Yeah.
So it can be a lot more havoc than you would think.
Something so small, similar like the green crab, like a very small thing doing lots of damage. I guess they would probably be the freshwater cousin of the green crab as far as a damageability scale and factor. So, but just like their tasty native cousins to the south, the swamp crawfish, the rusty crayfish is also sweet with a delicate meat similar to shrimp or lobster. Or the other crawfish. So guess what? Tastes like crawfish. Oddly, too, I was looking at the map. There's like a recorded population in New Mexico. In northern New Mexico, yeah. Huh. So you've got some places like the Tennessee, North Carolina border. There's some. So that'd be up in like the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is an interesting place. And then you've got them like West Virginia area, some in Pennsylvania, and then you've got a big population around like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and it kind of extends up into New York, and then you've got this weird, it's not weird, it's probably a natural watershed that goes all the way from Connecticut up into Maine. So all the way through New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and up into Maine, which is pretty wild. So they're kind of everywhere. And then too, if they're, I'm guessing in Canada as well, if they're in those sort of northern watersheds, there's no natural boundary for crawfish between the U.S. and Canada. So they're just
if they're thriving in Wisconsin, then they probably don't have any problems with winters or anything. So they'll move through Canada just as easy.
So similarly, you want to go for the tail meat. That's the most prized. But occasionally you'll get a claw that's big enough to consume as well. I'm a big crawfish connoisseur, so I love crawfish. Boiled crawfish is probably the best. So in order to get there to that step, you want to rinse them thoroughly, clean water to remove mud and debris. Don't let them soak. You want to rinse. A lot of people will soak them in fresh water, and that's not a good way. You'll kill them. You can purge. This says purge for several hours, but I don't really agree with that. But remove claws if desired. You don't want to remove the claws. Keep those on. And then if you're going to boil them, you can boil with seasoning like the Cajun or Old Bay. Kind of for traditional. I think if you're using the Old Bay, you're going to be steaming things, not boiling them. But you can grill.
The Harvest Nature fish blend would go excellently.
Oh yeah, I would use the Harvest Nature fish blend for that. I actually have before, and it's really, really good. You want to grill, saute, or pan fry the tails. If you've got the tails sort of pulled off and separated, you can. Those are pretty tasty. That would be great for pasta dishes or tacos or salads. You can use the shells to make crawfish stock for bisques and sauces, and then you can also incorporate the tail meat or whole into like jambalaya, etouffee, or seafood gumbo. That's probably where I'd find the whole ones in the gumbo. But popular crawfish dishes in the U.S., you've got your boils, your etouffees, crawfish mac and cheese. In France, you've got crayfish bisque and crayfish and cream sauce. And in Sweden, there's a traditional
Kraskiva or something?
Kraskiva crayfish feast with dill and aquavit. It sounds great. I love
actually will do
aquavit.
that they do that at IKEA's. I think when the traditional thing happens in Sweden, the IKEA's in North America will do a little fest. So if you want to try it yourself, you can, I guess, go to IKEA and eat there. But I've never tried it there, but I've heard of it.
Go for the meatballs, stay for the crayfish.
The Kraskiva.
Yeah. So, and then we have spicy Szechuan style crayfish with chili and garlic. And if you're browsing the Harvesting Nature website, we've got a delicious watercress and crawfish tail salad by Randy King, good buddy of mine. And this really tasty, phenomenal salad that's pretty straightforward and basic. I mean, not basic in that sense, but like really nice. You need 30 crawfish, lemon, elegant, salt, water. That's to get the crawfish there. You're gonna do a red wine vinaigrette, and then have lots of cool greens for your salad to include some apple. And I think you'll be really happy with that. But I don't know, Adam, you eat a lot of crawfish?
I haven't eaten it a lot, but I've tried it whenever I could. So I've eaten it at a couple restaurants. I've purchased frozen ones and made it, which aren't going to be as good, and I knew that, but I just wanted to try them so much. I had a trip planned to New Orleans and Louisiana, but then COVID got in the way. It was kind of planned for spring 2020, which turned out to be a pretty bad time to go anywhere in the world. So I never got to try it, so I got to rebook that trip and try it from the source. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I love shrimp. I love anything like tactile kind of food where I'm like digging in, any seafood kind of dishes, or even chicken wings where I'm like, you have to kind of like work at it. And I'm definitely like sucking the head out of each one of those things too.
So much juicy flavor. Yeah, we used to go to various bars around New Orleans would have crawfish boils like during the season, and you could go there and like pay $20 or whatever, and it was pretty much all you could eat crawfish, and then you would just buy drinks or whatever. So it'd be like a good way to get people to come. But you if you wanted your fill, you had to go quick, and you had to learn to eat it really fast and like as much as you could in order to like. And so you just see people with like giant mounds of crawfish heads and the discarded heads and tail shell, and then just like cruising through it. So, and of course you have your accoutrements like the sausage and the corn and garlic and all that stuff like that you're eating through too. So lots of cool stuff. But yeah, I don't know. We've definitely run through a good amount of invasive fish and crustaceans today. Yep. Any last thoughts you got?
We didn't go through all of them, obviously. There's is there peacock bass in
peacock
Florida,
bass in Florida, which we have
even
a cool shirt for as well.
Even largemouth or bass in some places, and pike in some
brown
places,
trout.
Brown trout. So there's a lot that we didn't go through, but we wanted to pick some of the more interesting ones. But do your part. Target them, bring them home, get out there, and if you're planning on keeping a bunch of fish, why not try and keep a bunch of invasives because they all taste good. Don't listen to people who tell you they don't taste good. We talked about it before, but I found over the years that all these species that taste like crap, according to people, are often just harder to process. So people will just, instead of having to take the Y bones out of a pike, people just say pike doesn't taste good, or carp or whatever else. So don't listen to us. We know what we're talking about to some extent when it comes to flavor. Anyways,
we'll make it up.
Yeah. So I say just go for it and bring home a lot and help, do your little part. It's an easy way to help, and it's a tasty way to help. So why not?
Absolutely. No, I couldn't say it any better. Go over, check out all the recipes we mentioned. Check out the cool new invasive fish series we've got running this summer. We only have a couple designs left before we close out, and those will go away at the end of the summer. We'll take them off the website. And then thanks everybody for listening. Whatever podcast platform you listen to, please punch that 5-star button. Leave us a review. Tell us we're doing right, or tell us you don't like fish. Thanks everybody. Have a good day.